Hi, thank you so much for clicking this video. This is Batok with Ola. My name is Mujola Olua, and today I want to talk about two very important and very popular cases in family law. I want to talk about Corbett and Corbett, and I want to talk about Hyde and Hyde. So Hyde and Hyde is an 1886 case, and Corbett is a 1970 case. So let's talk about Hyde and Hyde first. What happened in Hyde and Hyde was that a man married a woman, and both of them belonged to the Mormon church. And then after a while, the man started kicking against the Mormon faith, and then he was excommunicated. He had problems with the church. He was excommunicated. He started writing and publishing materials against the Mormon faith, and then the wife left him. Yes, and after a while, the man moved to England. They were in the United States. They got married in Utah in the United States. And when the man was excommunicated, he returned to England, or he moved to England. And the wife remained in Utah, where she married another person. Now, in the Mormon faith, according to the case, because I don't really know much about the faith, but according to the case, in the Mormon faith, polygamy is allowed. So polygamy is allowed. So for the purpose of the excommunication, the wife was declared free to remarry. So it meant that apart from polygamy, their marriage was determined, had come to an end according to Mormon standards, because the man had been excommunicated and he had not returned to the church. The wife had professed his love for him, had encouraged him to come back to the faith, and he did not, and she could not leave her faith for him, so she left him. She got married again, which was allowed under the Mormon faith and doctrine. And then the man moved to England, where he then filed for divorce, stating the ground of adultery, that the woman had married another person. And then the court held that marriage and those conditions for marriage were alien to the English law. So the court said that it would not recognize that marriage, even for the purpose of even dissolving it, because it was not according to the English law. So the judge, Lord Penzance, made an obiter dictum, which has now morphed into the most important, takeaway from that case, and it is that marriage is the union of a man and a woman as husband and wife for life, to the exclusion of all others. Marriage is the union of a man and a woman as husband and wife for life, to the exclusion of all others. So that was the definition of marriage that evolved from that case, and it's been applied in several cases since then, and it is the definition of marriage under the Nigerian law currently and presently. So if that changes, we may learn of it, but at the moment, at the point of making this video, that is the definition of marriage in Nigeria: the union of a man and a woman for life, to the exclusion of all others as husband and wife. So that's the key thing that came out of the case. So the court said it would not recognize the marriage that was celebrated. Of course, the court said the marriage would be valid in the place where it was celebrated, once it is celebrated according to the law of that place. So if they were in the United States, it could have probably sued for divorce, although one would think that since the excommunication meant that the wife could remarry, that would also not hold. But in England, it could not sue, because that's what they had, the man and his wife, was not even a marriage to start with, because the English law did not recognize polygamy. Yes, so those conditions for marriage, according to the Mormon faith, were not recognized by the English law. So that's the decision in Hyde and Woodmansee. It's an 1866 case, and it's become, the locus classicus, for marriage in several jurisdictions, including Nigeria. Now let's talk about the second case, Corbett and Corbett. Corbett and Corbett is a 1970 case. It's more recent than Hyde and Hyde, but there were references to Hyde and Hyde as well in Corbett and Corbett. In Corbett and Corbett, a man married a woman who used to be a man. So the woman used to be a man. She was a man at birth, but then she underwent a sex change and became a woman. She became a model, an actress, successful, and then she got married to the man. So Corbett and Corbett, Mr. and Mrs. Corbett now. So they got married in 1963, and the marriage lasted for about 14 days, and it broke down. So after it broke down, they separated. And then Ashley Corbett, the wife, wrote through her lawyers to her husband asking for maintenance. So in response to that demand for maintenance, the husband filed for annulment of the marriage, and he was claiming that the marriage was not consummated because in the first place, the wife was still a man. The sex change was not successful, so they could not consummate the marriage. So the court had to decide on the sex of the wife, and the court went the medical way, and the court got and there were medical witnesses that testified, before the court, and the court decided that for the purpose of the marriage, it was not a union between a man and a woman. That was the decision then. It might be different now that there are some recognitions of some other types of unions or collaborations or combinations that could make a union, a legal union, a marriage. But at that time in 1970, the court held that the woman, the wife, was still a man, and the court held that sex, not gender now, sex is determined at birth, and there's no operative intervention that can change it throughout the life of a person. Yes, there could be a mistake, maybe a baby was born a girl and they thought it was a boy, and afterwards they discovered. But when we're talking about changing the sex from a man to a woman or a woman to a man, the court held that there was no such thing. It could not hold. So the court held that Mrs. Corbett was still a man, a she, he, and so she could not have successfully married another man and become his wife under the law according to the definition of marriage. So the court annulled the marriage. It was null and void ab initio because the conditions of a man and a woman being in the union was not even met initially. It was annulled. It was annulled, not dissolved, but annulled. So that's Corbett and Corbett, and that's Hyde and Woodmansee. That's all I have for you in this video. I will see you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Toodles.